series. I'll just show you how to do it in a very quick manner. Normally when you do for your shape layers and all that, when you're doing for any layers, when you create any layers, make sure that you name it. Okay, so whether you want to name it in the beginning or after you've done your setups and then you want to name it, as long as you name it, it's more important. If you don't name it, you get lost. Okay, I've been repeating this again and again. Make sure that you all name it properly. You do not name it, you are going to die. Right? Again, all right. Now I'm going to make this as a slider. Okay, I'm just going to name it as a slider first. Later I can just change it. Okay. The goal here is to get this to slide and swipe. Okay, you can do all this with all these sliders. It's easy and straightforward. Okay, this week is more on that shapes first. Then I'll upload some more on other stuff. I'll share some other videos, right? So you guys have to test one by one. Right, this is a simple. How do I get this? You double click on this particular shape here. All right, any shape. Double click. It will give you straight away your frame, your compositing size. It will just straight away fill it. Okay, you know what I mean? Again, if you want to get this right, normally if you want to, I'll just delete this. I'll just start from scratch. If you create a shape, you create like this, right? You hold shift, it will become a square, perfect square, right? This is if you want to create a certain to certain areas or whatever not, right? Or certain size. So if let's say you want to have that same size as the composition size, right? Just double click on this. Done. Right? Simple, straightforward. It will just create the entire. You just fill the entire composition window. Okay. So now if you open this, if you drop down the content in a shape layer, when you open this, you have content. And then each content will have its rectangle path, stroke, fill, and transform, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the typical ones that it is already presetted for you. If you are creating, right click and then you create a new shape layer. All right, this one won't have anything. See difference between this and that. One is we created from a preset which is already there. Another one is you have created an empty shape layer where you're going to fill and you have to determine what kind of shape that is inside there. Got it? Okay. The empty ones you have to add. You have to add the fill, you have to add the outline, you have to add every single thing inside there. Alright? As for the shape layer, it's already there. You can always go to the fill and then change it and vice versa. Right? You have to test it and to see which is the best option that you can get to do this. Okay. Now I'm just going to off this shape layer. I'm going to on this dude. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go to my transform here. Alright. There's two transforms. One is the global transform. Every layer. Alright. Every single creation, any layer that you're going to add, any images or videos or whatever not, when you bring in, even if it's normally this shape layers especially, right? When you bring in, you will see two transforms, even if it's a text or not text, right? It applies the same thing. So it will have transform as a global, the entire layer by itself, right? And then it will have its own transform as the path, the shapes transform. Okay, both will act differently, right? So the global one is the transform where you can just move it and then as a whole you can just move it around here and there. As for as for this transform within this rectangle, the content by itself, that one will define what kind of shape, or you can even move within it, so you have to play with it. So one is the parent, one is the child, right? You have to do the math and see. Okay, under here the transform for rectangle by itself, Okay, you can skew this. All right, let's say I skew it to up about like I use this a lot sometimes, this kind of techniques. All right, so when I skew this, I can slant it in a way. Okay, if I want to have like a different shape and all that, remember how we do our we can I'll go back to that in a while. I can do multiple shapes, and I can bring all my AI stuff, and then eventually can copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So when I skew this, I skew the axis if I want to. Okay. Normally I don't do it, depending on what kind of what's the purpose that you're planning to do. I will scale it in a different manner like that. Okay. See the difference between the scale here. If you have this chain on, it is uniformal scale. It will scale both x and y. Okay. But if you off this, I can now determine whether it's going to be scaled only on the x-axis or the y-axis. Simple, straightforward. Huh? This one applies for anything that has this chain attached to that particular box there. Okay, clear. So once I have this, see the difference between these two. I'll just make it slightly bigger. Okay. The difference between these two scales, right? Even if I scale it like that, it scales the entire image. Okay. Whilst here, it will scale the object within that particular part specifically. So the layer here, what it says is the shape layer, I can add in multiple parts within it. It's a very powerful tool, right? Powerful layer. I can have multiple parts and I can merge it, and I can do wonderful things with this particular shape layer by itself. So that one will go even further as we move on. Okay. For now, let's just leave it like that. Okay. This is the simplest thing that you can look at. Okay. So once you have created this, I'll just press V. First, I will squash it first. I want to have a nice cut, right? Like a glass shimmer or highlights on a glass or a blade, right? I want to have that. How do I do that? Very simple. I'll take this. First, I'll get this line. I will animate this first. Okay? How do I animate this? Super simple. Now you go to your transform, position. I hit P, right? I get this position. I hit position here. Number one, I can start either from right to left, left to right. And then before I do my animation, another key before I add that, I'll go back to my content to just see whether the stunt is interesting enough or not. Okay, the skew. So I'll just go down here. Just go for my, the skew under the transform. Let me skew it a little bit more. Okay, this is cool. So it is diagonally cutting. It's like slashing and slashing and slashing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to animate this, right? Transform position. Number one, it comes from, it swipes from right to left or left to right, up to you, depending on the direction that you're going to go through. So one, and then you go to, I'm always, when you're doing tutorials, do not do like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Do short so you understand the fundamentals. After that, go and expand it as much as you want. You know what I mean? So do short so that you don't waste too much of time. You get the idea first, quick ones, right? So maximum I will play with, either I will just play with 5 seconds or 15 seconds, the max, the lengthy one. If not, I won't spend too much of time until I confirm that I'm going to do that particular project. Okay, I'm going to bring this over now. From here, I'm just going to drag this. So the moment you have already done a particular keyframe, the next round when you move, it will automatically do your auto keys. It will just register a key. Okay, straightforward, huh? So now, if I move this over by holding shift, this is a typical Photoshop kind of thingy, right? So any Adobe software will do the same typical stuff. So shift is by snapping it on the same horizon. If it's going vertically, then it is following the vertical from that particular point straight, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that one is very simple. Now as we play, zoom. Uh-oh, what's happening? Okay. If you have this kind of issues, number one thing that you have to do is you go here, purge this to compose. The reason why you have to do that is you don't want to have your cache files to take over your storage. Yes, again, edit, purge all memory and this cache. Is it cache or cache? Whichever. Okay. Some will pronounce it cache. Some will say it's a cache. And some will say like a cache. So I don't know. Some will say the jargons must be correct. The pronunciation must be correct. I'll say, crap, this is my pronunciation. It's a cache file or whatever it is you want to call it. Alright? Cache file. So just delete that. Okay? The moment you do that, it will help to clear up your space. You don't need to, overlap too much. Okay, I'm just going to move on a little bit faster. The first thing that I do now is I'm going to come in here. I swipe. Okay, I'll do it a little bit faster. So I swipe, and then I will swipe back. I'll swipe once, and then I'll swipe back again. Right? So how I can do that? After Effects is once you get the hang of After Effects is very easy. Alright, first starting it will be alienated, but then again after that it will be easier. Can you off this light instead so you can see a little bit more clearer? Okay, Pauline, please. This room is a bit weird, The light is there. It's like, Okay, if you want to off the entire light, off it. You guys want light? Yes? Okay, then leave it. Thanks for me. Okay, so After Effects, you can copy and paste anything. So, Control C is copy, Control V is paste. Alright, highlight, copy. You want to copy the layer, you want to duplicate, Control D. You all know that already, right? Okay, remember that, this is your friend. Copy paste is your friend. Right. So, the moment you highlight a particular keyframe will always be in a diamond shape. Alright, the older version, CS6 and all that, it will become orange. Right, only the CC 2015 and above, I think it's 2015 and above, this one has become blue color. Okay, a little bit on the basics. If you click on this, every time you see this under this content and all that, right, after the drop down menu of a particular layer, anything that you have already add keyframe to, right, let's say I'm working on this particular option here. Okay, so if you want to go from one keyframe to another, you just have to click once and then it will automatically snap to that particular keyframe. Got it? So if you don't see this highlighted or it is filled with blue color, that means there's no key there. Very simple and straightforward. Okay? Wow. Okay. In a while we'll talk about the pick whip. I don't want to go and kill you with too many stuff at the same time. One by one, baby steps. So once you get this, I'm just going to move it over. I can bring it over here. If I want to scale this, the distance between one keyframe to another, how do I do that? Hold alternate, Alt, and then first you make sure that you highlight any of this. It can be 3 or 4 or 100 of what they call hundreds of keyframes. But sometimes when you want to do, like, let's say I have like one here, and then next one I have another one more coming here, and then the next one I have another one more coming here. I'm going to move this around. See, when there is too much of keyframes, when you want to squash it, it's kind of like, it's annoying. You want to move one by one keyframe, it doesn't make sense, right? If you want to do it like global, okay, I'll show you a faster way of doing it. Like this, I can hold alternate, I highlight the entire keyframe, I can just move it like that. I can squash the entire timing. Can you understand? Sorry? Mac? Alternate also. Yeah. So alternate, right? Only control is command. Does it work? Does it work? Does it? Under pressure. Okay? See, the beauty about this is I can choose anywhere. It doesn't need to be like, from first end to another. I can choose even the in between. Let's say in between here, I need it to be fast. Alright? I just have to hold Alt and then choose these two keyframes, and then I can just squash it. Done. As simple as that. Alright? So now if I play, zoom. I can always have my keyframes to be controlled properly. Okay? The traditional way is to just move one by one keyframe. It's like, but if you're using alternate, it's easier for you to squash it. Okay. So let's say this is a keyframe that you need. It's too far, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to move this over, or I'm just going to, if you just want to move this over here, then just do it like this. Okay? So whichever that works fast for you and it's easier. Okay? So once I have done this for 3 seconds, bloop. Okay? Now I want to scale this. Right. This is transform. Now I want to take this content. I'm going to go to the scale. Just because I have already added this skew, right? I am going to scale it here instead on the rectangle alone. And now I'm going to scale this. Or first I will do a thin line. Eventually it is building up from maybe this thin, and then zoom. See that? It builds up as it swipes. Maybe I'll go here, up. I will build it up some more. Right? So it slowly becomes big, zoom, and then eventually I squash it back. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V, done. Okay? And then zoom. You know what I mean? 1, 2. Then I don't need this. So I have to go here, transform, delete. Something like that. So, simple, huh? Very simple. Okay. Now you have done two sets of components that you have already created animation or keyframe for, right? So when you want to look for this keyframe, every time you have to drop down the menu and so on and so forth to go and look for these keyframes. So to make your life easier, press U. Right? When you press U for umbrella, Uruguay, Uganda, whatever it is, right? U. When you press U, you will only see the keyframed components to be highlighted and shown. Your life will be easier. Okay? Shortcut keys will help you, will be very helpful. Okay, the moment you do this, these are normal linear keyframes. Okay? So this, so far you all understand, huh? So if you want to make it like, very interesting, this is where you have to press F9. Yeah, you choose the entire keyframes, right? Whatever keyframe that you have. Let's say you're happy with this motion, right? This motion you are very happy with. Now I just have to select the entire keyframes, right? Press F9, F, Finland, F9, F1, F2, F3, F4, F9. Okay, press F9. The moment you hit F9, it's easy ease, right? How do you get that? By default, this is shortcut key here. I'm going to undo back, right? By default, if you want to change this key, what they call this keyframes to more Bezier like or non-linear like, or it has a little bit more speed, easy in, easy out. How do you do that? You right click on each keyframe and then keyframe assistant, easy in, easy out, blah blah blah. Okay, these are the things that you will work with. Okay, a linear keyframe is just very straightforward, one dot, two dots, three dots, whatever not, right? But if you have easy is, easy, okay, easy is, easy in, easy out, this is one of the 12 principles. You're using back the 12 principles, right? How fast how fast and then slow down, slow and then fast, how it picks up, the momentum that you want to have for each keyframes or each motion from one point to another. This is where you add your easy is, easy out, and so on and so forth. Okay, clear? Play around with this. You don't need to follow exactly like what I'm doing, all right? But I'm just giving you an overview. So go back, experiment. I want you all to experiment, all right? If you don't experiment, you are not going to learn. Okay, cool. So in order for you to do that, once you see, every time when you click keyframe assistant, if you forget the shortcut key, it is all written here. F9, shift F9, control shift F9. Okay, okay? Alright, cool. Awesome. Now, what you can do is, you can see I'll show you why the linear is very straightforward. This is the graph. Plop, 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 straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one point to another, zoom. I stop here, go back here, come back here, whatever. Okay? So go back. How do you get your graph editor? You see this simple like a worm thingy. This one I taught you all last week already. Right? Okay. Now you just highlight this and then press F9. Right? Now you go to your graph editor. When you see a graph editor, now you see it's like a bouncing ball, right? It has like a nice curve. So in order to see the entire thing, you just go back here and then fit all graph to view. Okay, life is easier. You see a nice, which means it is saying there is a velocity here and eventually there's a height here and it's going to drop down as fast as possible or not. Okay, clear? So once everything is selected and now you have this well defined here within this particular view. Now you go here, you see the eye at the bottom here, you will see an eye icon, choose which properties are shown in graph editor, blah blah blah. You can click all this and see, up to you. So choose graph type and option, right? So normally I will play with my speed graph. Alright, speed graph will tell you the motion, how fast you want it to go, how slow you want it to go, and so on and so forth. Okay. By default, it is the value graph. You have to change it to speed graph. Just double check every time when you do this. Okay. These are the things that will give, when you change to your speed graph. This is where you have this interesting motion that you can add on or you can tweak within your animation. Okay, once this is selected, let's say you have already selected, now you go back here and you see these handles appearing. You just double, highlight the entire thing. See that? You have to highlight it, okay, by mark you, selecting like that. You know how to highlight, right? Anyone doesn't know how to highlight? hold from an empty space, hold your left mouse button, make sure the selection marquee is there, and select it within that region. Just let it go, okay. So you get this bezier. You can see these yellow lines, right? The handles, yellow handles. Okay, now I'm going to go back here just to show you what's the difference there. This is currently the motion. Okay, I'm just going to end here so it's easier. Okay, so currently the motion is like this. Zoop, zoop. Okay, very straightforward, right? Now I go back here. See this? I squash it. Oi. I go to my position. I'll just choose my position. Position. I squash it. Position determines where it lands and where it stops and so on and so forth. The moment I do this, what it says is every time a particular height is close by, it is spiking. It is how fast it is going. The further it is, the slower it becomes. I mean, the closer it is, the faster it spikes up. So that every time you see this height on top here, this one determines what are the values are. The closer it is, right, the faster it moves. The further away, it slowly eases up. That's practically the idea behind this squashy thingy. Okay. So you can adjust it in many ways. You can bring this handle to different way. So all this will give you a different motion. You may try it and see. Please experiment and then get a result. That's where you write your reflection upon. Okay, every time you do an exercise at home, you finish this, whatever finding that you get, that's your reflections and so on. Okay. So now, if I play, zoom, whoop, how's that motion? Complete different. Whoop, boom. Okay? Can or not? See that? So it's quite fast, but see that? It moves faster and then slows down. Moves faster and then slows down. Alright, cool. So once you have this, now I'm happy with this, right? This one always works. Either you're going to go from the right to left or left to right, it depends. Okay, which direction you're choosing and so on. Now I'm going to go back to my normal keyframe mode. I'm going to just slash this here, push, and push. Oops. Alternate bracket, open, close bracket. Okay? You want to cut. Right, if you want to move the entire thing, just press the bracket. It will just move the entire layer and so on. Okay, now I'm happy with this, right? So what I can do is I can duplicate this straight away. Of course, before I do that, I will name this slider 1 or slide 01, whatever, and I'll give it a color. This is the Audi aqua color. Second one, I'll name, enter, right? Change to slide 02. Okay, I'll change this to maybe a peach color, whatever color. That is easier for me to identify. Okay, now if I have two in the same direction, doesn't show anything, right? What I can do is I can click this and then I can offset this. Oops. Or bring it maybe 2 frames and offset here. What happens? Zoom. Simple. See that? Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay. So anyway, right? So that's one way of doing. So if you want to have like, this one is coming in and then eventually this guy can be slightly huge. What can I do? I go to scale. Now I can scale this. So I'll press U. I'll go here. Okay, these are the tricks, certain tricks. If you want to change your entire, once you have already keyframe, you finish your motion already, right? And then you want to change a global change, like for instance the scale by itself for the entire keyframes. What you do in normal, you go to each keyframe, you will change the value, you will change it's very frustrating, right? You want to change the scale and all that. So if you want to change it globally without going through that hassle process, what you have to do is just do a keyframe. One way is just do a keyframe first, create a keyframe, press this button here, all right, this one will create a keyframe. Okay, highlight the entire keyframe, okay, and then change. Okay, now everything is affected. Okay, now if I go here, if I just change this, right, see, everything is affected. Can you see? Your motion is still remaining,